Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's October 2nd. Yes, October 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. Quick look at the daily chart. You can see that we bounced. Looks like we bounced off the 21 EMA here. That's what this middle line is. These other lines are based on some different numbers, but that's what this middle line is. It's a 21, the dark purple is 21 EMA, so we bounced right off of that. It looks like we're hung between, looks like we found resistance at the midline of the green channel and support off the 21 EMA. So it looks like we're kind of stuck between that, although we did close higher and we did close well off the lows here, close to the high of the day. So rather positive. Looks like kind of a reversal type day on the daily chart. We'll see if we get any follow through tomorrow to make that a definite reversal, but as of now it kind of looks that way. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart and we'll go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. Okay, here's a look at it. It's mostly just a range day that closes on its high. It's almost 5 o'clock, so the market's about to reopen. But you can see we kind of, the sell-off from yesterday kind of continued, and we found a bottom and bounced. And that bottom just happens to be right around where the midline of the 21 EMA on the daily chart. And you can see we're continuing to, this is a spiking channel up, and then we sold off. And then we just kind of chopped around and closed on the high. So mostly sideways today, although we did rally off the lows on this failed breakout. And if you, this is why I'm always saying sometimes these failures are worth trying to pick them up, because they're usually important highs or lows of the day. And you can see that does make the very low of the day. And if you catch that, I mean, you can hang on to this all the way up to the upper side, but that right there is a gimme. If you just wait till the first bar that breaks below, lower, that's almost a, I mean, it's a sure thing. It's a gimme, because you never get another bar that breaks below a original bar. You can see that right there. Boom, and off it goes. We did have a news item: non-farm employment, unemployment, or employment change. How many jobs I guess they added non-farms, and you really couldn't take up. This was a possibility here. I didn't mark it, but it's a possibility. You had to be flat for the news, and so this is your signal bar here, so you can't really use this bar. And then you get the failed breakout. It's always better to wait on the lower high, and you don't get one here. You're back in the, already off the midline before you get a lower high, and the midline of that channel, and it's too late to take. I mean, you moved too far. So if you didn't take this failed breakout, which it's risky. Sometimes they fail. So sometimes they turn out to be important highs or lows, and once again, this would have been an important high if you were able to catch a runner. And this is just all too congested here. We drop down to the lower side of what looks like it's going to be a range. We bounce. And you make it, this is pretty much a double bottom, so this is like a second entry. You could also look at it like a failure, but we don't really trade a failure in this instance, so you can't trade that as a failure. But to me, this looks like a second entry short, and if nothing else, it looks like 3 attempts to go higher as well. This one's pushing it a little bit right here, but it's still traded lower, tried to go higher, then higher, then higher. But I like that just as a second entry short, just to retest these lows, and maybe it'll push through and keep going, and sure enough, boom, off it goes. And it moves. I mean, this turns out to be a pretty good move. If you caught that, that's probably all you need today. And then, of course, you get that low, and you try to go higher, and then you get that little 1 or 2 ticks lower. I'm not sure how many. Let's see. 24.50, let's see, and this one's 24, so it's 2 ticks lower, and then it fails. It's risky, but on these failed breakouts, it's you know, you can treat that like basically a double bottom, and boom, off it. It takes a minute, but off it goes. And if you catch that, you're ready to go. And you might have looked at this as a triple test, but it makes a new low. It's got a lot of stem on it. It's not much room to the high, so I just sit tight. I don't see anything in there till you get this failed breakout. That bar's too big, too close to the highs, and then you get this higher low with plenty of room. That's where to go long. And you can see the smart traders all enter there, and off it goes again. So another good move right there on a failed break out of a range. And again, that's an important low. It does turn and come back. And you get a close outside and a new low all in one bar, but it's just the first entry, so you don't get the second entry till this engulfing bar. You got to wait for this to close. I like going long above that. And if you didn't go there when it gives you this continuation pattern, this is a failure with a continuation pattern of this trend line. I like going long there. So, and then it comes back again here, and you clearly got triple test there and a higher low. It's a big bar that's close to those highs, but I still like it to go long right there. This is the high you're more interested in, way over here. And you can see it does turn down at first, but it pushes on higher. It runs. You get your break here out of this cyan and colored channel, and you run to a new high, and it also hits the high of this two-tiered darker blue channel and just turns straight down. Don't trade that. Just sit tight. And guess what that did? That filled the gap. Notice we opened here and traded lower, and so this was the gap. And usually there's sell orders just waiting, or buy orders if it's above, because people know they're trying to fill that gap, and it could have taken off. It's still a very nice trade. We're not going to trade that because it doesn't set up properly. We want to get a regular setup that we like, and you don't get that there because this is your signal bar because it makes the high. This is just an inside bar. But you do get a close outside, and you don't quite get a new low, but you really you tried to go lower 3 times there. I like that as a second entry long. First entry, and a break above that second entry long, and it's right off the key entry point. And another nice move up. To me, this is just sideways, and there's not enough bars here to make a trend, so I don't think you can count that as a second entry. That's just you could look at it as a failed break lower, and in that case you might take that. I'll mark it green, but you can't trade that as a second entry, even though by the counts it is, because technically it's not. But you see how tight that is, and there's just not enough room there really to make that a blue. But the odds are you're going to retest this high, and there's enough room for that. So I'll mark it green, and if you took it, it's a little risky, but there's reasons to take it. Plus, we just came off the lows, so we're probably headed back to the highs, which you see that's exactly where we're headed. Now you got to move up. Now you got to move down to break a new low, and that's a second entry long right there. It looks like it was a bad decision for a moment, and then it takes off. And that's why I say when you're sim trading, don't monkey with your trades. Just put the trade in there, take it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, study it. And I mean, more times than not, this will run them out, and then you see it ends up going exactly where you think it is. There's a reason we put our stop 1 tick below our signal bar, and they're usually protected there. If you watch most of our entries, if you have it 1 tick below your signal bar, you're going to be fine. You do get a close outside, move to a new high, and another second entry short way up here at the highs. Notice that's a new swing low, and you get a first entry and a second entry, and it's fairly bearish. It's at the highs of the range. Actually, it looks like it's almost a little bit of an overshoot. Normally I'd tell you in an uptrend not to short, but in this case maybe you do. I marked it green because it is in an uptrend, but there's reasons to like that trade. You can see it's a really nice move down. You don't know it's going to do that, but you're just trying to ride it back to the EMA and get a scalp out of it. And if you get more than that, that's just gravy. So anyway, then we start testing this support here. It looked like we were going to get a triple test, but we don't get a signal bar. And then we make a new high, first entry. It comes back. There's a little tick higher right there, but that looks like all one move down. So I'd treat that like a second entry when it broke higher right there. And I like that trade. And even if you don't, it's a double top, and it's still a first entry, second entry. Although it only looks like one leg down to me. So technically, here's your original move lower. You get a break, tempt at a new low, but the trend line holds. So just go along there on that second entry. It's a second entry no matter how you count it. If you start here, first entry, and I wouldn't count that second entry. But even if you got a double top, first entry, second entry. So technically I wouldn't count this little break here. So to me it looks like a first entry, second entry. Then you got another one working down here, same thing. Until you get really good at spotting this stuff, you should always draw these. You get a close outside, attempted a new low, it reverses. I don't see a setup there. We did get a break of this cyan channel too, so you can't really trade this as a continuation pattern failure. And you just make a triple top up here. Unfortunately, you don't get a chance to trade it. This low is higher, so you get a 1, 2, 3, and not a one of them signal bars is tradable. Trends down, close outside, move to a new low. It looks like it's going to go higher again, and you make a triple test right there, and it turns down. And this is a little spiking channel down, and again, I don't see any way to get short here that's reasonable, so you can't really trade that. Then you're chopping along. You do get a close outside here, and you've easily got a triple test. This one's tempting, but there's not enough room to get out. If you can enter here, you got just enough room, and it gets just enough to scalp out, and then it reverses. This one closing higher is tempting, but you don't really have a, I mean, you could argue there's a 1, 2, 3 triple test there, I guess. But there's a chance it's going to pull back here, and you see it does. And you don't know how high it's going to go because it may not break above that, and you don't have much room there. So I'd sit tight on that one. And this was a second entry short too. Notice this low, first entry. And you get a close outside, new high. So it was playing out like a channel as well. Then you get another leg up. This actually looks like a two-tiered, like a little double leg move, and then you get another leg up, and it runs to a new, finally makes a new low after the close outside, and it reverses. So I don't think that signal bar is good enough to risk entering there, and you don't get really anything else. It runs up, and again, you don't get anything to short here. There is a trap here, and it's a second entry when it comes by this bar, but you can't trade that as engulfing, and I just personally, I'm not going to go a long way down here at the end of this big, huge bar that's 22 ticks. I think it's just too risky. You see it's only a moment later it's reversing. And you get a higher low here. This one's tempting. You see there's just barely enough room to that EMA. So you could argue for that to be green, but I like it better when you get the failure here. And again, these are very advanced. 95% of you, 99% of you shouldn't be trading these. So if you don't understand it, just ignore it. There's a reason I don't teach it in the manual. Just ignore these. They're very advanced, and you need to understand. You need to be a skilled chart reader before you start trading these. You need to learn them organically as you're learning the rest of it, because it's just confusing and it confuses people. And this is a spike and channel up, and you can clearly see the spike up and then the channel. Then you get a break and new high, and it kind of sails off after that. But that's the last trade. I don't see anything else here that I would risk to enter. And by the time you can enter here on this, I'd treat this like a double top, first entry, second entry. So there's a second entry long there, but it's too late after 2:30 to take another trade. So, you know, sometimes these are like a minute in or something, but that's like 11 minutes in, so I think that's a little too late. And there it is. Again, it's just a range day that closes on its high. Nothing more. It does look like a reversal on the daily, so maybe we'll get some follow-through buying and start rallying again. We'll just have to see. We were overdue for a correction of some kind. Let's go back to the daily chart real quick before we wrap it up. Okay, you can see that relieved a lot of this overbought pressure, and so now there's a good bit of room back up there to this brown line again. And so that relieved a lot of the overbought pressure. We got room to rally now. We'll see what tomorrow brings if we get some follow-through buying, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't push to a new high, or at least test these highs by sometime tomorrow. So anyway, it is what it is. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Believe it or not, tomorrow's Thursday. I don't know where the time's going. It's already October, second day in October, and September went by in a blink, and I'm guessing October. Next thing you know, it'll be Thanksgiving, end of the year, and man, time flies. So anyway, I don't know if it seems like it's going that fast for everybody else, but it just seems like it's a blink. Last 10 years have been a blink for me. I don't know where it went. But anyway, we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.